We're all excited about traveling to the Fey Wild in the Wizards of the Coast newest publication for D&D 5e.
But that's not the only Fey Wild supplement out there. The Splinterverse has something that will certainly enhance your game in the Fey Wild.
He's a gamer, content creator, and author. It's Jimmy from the Splinterverse this week on the Dungeon Master's Dojo.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dungeon Master's Dojo podcast. This is a show for game masters and players alike. We hope to bring you tips and tricks to elevate your game and develop the art of dungeon mastery. I'm your host, Louis Aponte, and these are your dungeon masters, Scott Labby and Bill Robotile. Let's enter the dojo and see what they have in store for us today.
Okay, we're live now. All right, let's get to know Jimmy. Jimmy's here from Splinterverse. We just have a few questions that I know all of our listeners are going to be curious about. Let's start with a would you rather.
Okay.
Would you rather accidentally laugh really loud at a funeral or loudly fart while giving a speech at a wedding?
Oh my gosh. I know neither is not an option.
You did say we could ask you anything, so.
Yes. I did say that. Remind me not to say that again. Gosh, I think, okay, I've given a speech at a wedding and I had a microphone. So I think I would go with that because maybe I could make it, knock into the microphone or something else and just like distract, cover myself. So I'm going to go with that. Did I get it right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I would laugh at the funeral.
Yes.
I probably would too.
And also loudly fart.
Well, I'm old. I get away with it.
Would you rather lick every inanimate object you see or be licked by every living thing you see?
Oh my gosh. Is there like a period of time on this? Like, is it for like the next 15 minutes or like an entire day? Or
Well, so you're at the mall on Black Friday.
Oh gosh, the worst. Because
Wear a
I'm a
bathing
germaphobe, so this is neither one is good. I think be licked by everything living thing because at least I could wash it off and I'm not ingesting it. If I'm licking stuff, man, who knows?
Yeah,
I would have.
You never know.
Well, I don't know. We're in the middle of a pandemic, so that'd be an interesting way to get your inoculation.
That would be, yeah. Your immune system would be like iron at that point.
That's it.
Yes, I'd be patient zero after that.
And I've often thought of this every time I've been at a register of, but what set of items could you buy that would make the cashier the most uncomfortable?
Oh my gosh, Diane Sawyer has nothing on you guys. Yeah. Barbara Walters, look out. Gosh, I mean, I guess a random combination of something from like the family planning aisle and then some weird other object from the store. I mean, but I'm not easily embarrassed in real life. I mean, if you could see me, you'd understand why. But I just am not. I mean, I'm the one that like back when I was in my 20s and I had roommates and somebody'd say, "Oh, I got to go to the store and buy this embarrassing thing." I'd be like, "I'll get it for you. I'll go with you. Come on, I don't care." And I'd just walk right up there and put it on the belt, proud as could be, because I don't care. At the end of the day, what people think of me is none of my business.
I like this guy.
Yeah, I would. I've always wanted to like buy like a basket full of like lubricant and then like one of those things that like your mom stirs the cake batter with, it's got it's a little motorized things with
it's called a mixer.
A mixer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Not like a big stand mixer, but one of the handheld things and just,
power tools, any kind of strange battery operated thing, plus what you're talking about would be
3 gallons of olive oil.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just say, will this work with only one of the little mixer things on it?
Throw some duct tape in there, It's
you got to remember to wink at the cashier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is that just me?
And finally, have you ever had a weird Uber experience?
This is going to sound strange, but I have never been in an Uber or Lyft. I feel like I am the Uber or Lyft for friends because I'm always the designated driver. So, and I live in Phoenix, so it's just like LA where you have to have a car or you just can't survive. So I end up being the driver, and then everywhere I've gone, there's good public transportation. So I just haven't had a chance yet, but I'm looking forward to that first weird experience.
Yeah, I never have been in an Uber or a Lyft by myself. I just figure it's a good opportunity for like a serial killer to abduct someone.
Oh yeah.
The only time he's been in an Uber is with me.
Yeah,
and that made every experience weird.
Yeah, I figured, if someone's going to get a little, kind of abductee, we can like turn the tables on them and go, aha, we have our own duct tape.
Never leave home without it.
Yep.
So this goes with the previous question. I got it. Did I win? I win?
You win the prize. Yeah,
Lovely virgin of her.
Yeah, you get to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour with us asking more weird questions.
Awesome.
Tell us how you got started in gaming.
When I was a kid, I really did not have that many friends, like one or two. And so I would spend a lot of time by myself. I would, read comics. I grew up in the TSR era. So I would see those boxes sitting on the shelf and I would convince my mom to let me get them. And then I would get them and go, now I have nobody to play this with. But I would sit there and read it, right? And I fell in love with the tables and the graph paper, and I would just make these dungeons and roll on the table and amuse myself, even though it was just me. And so that's kind of how I got into TTRPG stuff, but branched out into video games, as video games came up, and have always enjoyed having some form of gaming in my life.
So what are some of your favorite video games?
Ones that are gone. I think me playing them kills them off because, I played Marvel Heroes that got shut down. I played City of Heroes that got shut down. Hex Shards of Fate got shut down. So you don't want me playing your video game. But
So you're the reason why they took City of Heroes and City of Villains and banished them.
Pretty much. I still play, every once in a while I'll play some WoW, I'll play some Dead by Daylight or whatever, but I usually don't have much time. I find that if I play a lot of video games, I don't accomplish a lot of other things. So I try to limit it like I'm my own parent.
I wish I had that willpower.
We do too, Lou. What tabletop RPGs did you play other than D&D?
Other than D&D, I messed around a little bit with the Marvel Superheroes one back in the day. That was another one that I liked. I liked all the little fold-up miniatures, but not many. I'm hoping I can take a break in the near future and play maybe some other ones that I haven't tried, just to see what other kind of mechanics are out there, because I'm fascinated by that as a creator,
Yeah, our buddy Hudrot Johansson is developing a game called the hybrid gaming system with the ETA gaming engine, and it's like kind of over the top fun. It's pretty simple, easy to pick up mechanics. It's one of my favorite games to play because you can just really be kind of over the top. Physics don't always come into play with which makes it
That's
fun.
good.
Yeah, a lot of 80s action stuff goes on there.
Like the wire foo stuff.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yep.
Love that.
Definitely worth keeping your eyes open for. It's if you want interesting game mechanics. So are you a player or a DM?
Mostly a player these days. Back when I was reading those books by myself, I would try to DM like with my brother, but I didn't know what I was doing. I mostly just story told and had him roll a dice here and there. But yeah, I'm mostly a player now.
What do you prefer, player or DM?
Player. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Player.
Yeah, Scott would prefer to be a player too, but
Yeah, it would be nice. Someday.
Are you stuck as DM?
Yeah. It's been like a perpetual cycle. Yeah. Almost like being in an abusive relationship.
I would give him sympathy, but I did it for 40 years and I basically took off the mantle, then beat him with it. And his curled up husk on the floor had to grasp it for comfort, and he hasn't let go yet.
Yeah, I haven't been allowed to. They kept putting it back in my hands. So,
well, you must be good then.
I think nobody else wants to do it.
He's fantastic.
He's fantastic.
He's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's what they say to keep me doing it.
It works.
Well, it's recorded now. Now you have evidence that
yes.
they think you're awesome.
One thing I don't suck at, and I have proof.
So tell us about the Splinterverse.
So it started as my username, and it's actually based on a story that I want to write someday. There is a meaning to the word, and yeah, it just started as my username for a lot of the games I was playing, and then I started a YouTube channel and was using it there, and then I thought, I want to branch out and do publishing, and so then I thought, well, let me use this as the brand, and it just kind of snowballed. But basically, the short meaning of it is it's like a universe that splinters off from the main one. And so that's kind of what I intended to do, is just kind of create my own little universe of products and fun stuff. So here we are.
Well, so far your products are looking very good. I'll say that.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk about your newest book, The Fey Wild Companion. I've been perusing through it. I like it a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, it was kind of a challenge for myself because I'd done a few books with just a small team, me and an editor and some writers. And I thought, I want to try to go even bigger, and I want to work with some other writers for a change, get them in there. And so I started seeking submissions, and then I brought in a bunch of writers, got 14 writers total and over 20 artists. And I had fortunately in my non-gaming life been an editor for publishing houses and worked in marketing and all of that stuff. So I knew I could lead a project like this and organize it and treat it like a professional publication and come up with a good end product. But it was a challenge because we didn't know for sure what Witchlight was going to have in it. So I had to make a lot of decisions about what to put in versus what not. And so every little reveal, every little leak, I was all over it, looking at what they were doing and just hoping and praying that our stuff would fit nicely with it. And I think it does. I mean, the way I envisioned it was I wanted this to be the one book you get if you're only going to buy one more book to go along with your Witchlight book, because it would fill in some of the gaps. It would give you some supplemental material, and it would synergize so well with Witchlight that you could feel like you had enough to do something beyond just running the Witchlight book as it is. And then beyond that, I wanted it to be able to stand on its own. I mean, we created a whole new domain in there. So if you didn't want to deal with Prismeer, you could go to Dualis, or you could go to Prismeer and then go to Dualis afterwards, or vice versa. And that was one of my big goals too, was to try to be the first to publish an additional domain. And since we published the day before Witchlight, we did achieve that. There were a bunch that came out the day of that we didn't realize were coming because they arranged to do the Adventurers League series that each one had a domain in it. So I was grateful to achieve that dream. But yeah, it was just a fun way to explore the Fey Wild and really hit a lot of unmet needs with the book. And I'm astonished by how much collective subconscious there is. I mean, little things from like their book has a displacer kitten. Our book has a blink dog puppy, basically. So you kind of have these like synergies, and they have the glasswork golem and we have the glass whale, which is another creature that is formed out of stained glass. And they're so different that they can both live in the same place and play together, So it was fun. There were things we changed, like the Feybound lineage that we have in there. It was originally called Fey Lost. And then we saw them come out with their talking about what they're doing. They have a Fey Lost background, and we're like, oh my gosh. And I'm actually happy that happened, because I feel like the Feybound is an even better name for what my vision for the Feybound ended up being. So it worked out, but it was just like, there were so many little things like that where I'm like, there must be a collective subconscious or something, because it's more than just thinking about things that are fairy related and both of us having fairy related things. I mean, that's obvious, right? It went beyond that. So I don't know. They feel like they really do kind of work well together, and it feels cool.
Well, mission accomplished. As I was going through it, I'm looking at all the different parts that are in there, and between, you've touched on all the classes. which was awesome. Everyone's got a little something to look forward to, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was important. We thought, we got to hit every single class because it's just not fair to leave one of them out, especially since we know Witchlight isn't going to do subclasses and people like the subclasses. And then we wanted to do some backgrounds and touch on like the carnival side with our clown background. And then the more esoteric side with the dreamer background, and then lineages. I'd done a whole book on lineages, so I wanted to do that again. And that was a lot of fun. I think I got to try some different mechanics with the Fey Bound, where you have like one trait that works one way in the material plane and another in the Fey Wild, and then just also making the numbers on the die. You always care about the 1 and the 20, but with the Fey Wild trigger ability for the Fey Bound, you actually have to care about a different number on the die for a change. And I thought, let's give these other numbers some love on on the die here. And so it was just kind of fun, just doing some different things that I hadn't seen before, and just hoping people would like it. And thankfully they did. I'm just so excited.
It sounds like a massive undertaking. Pulling together all those artists, all those contributors, and then organizing a book and then publishing it. How long did it take before like work was actually started on the book itself?
Yeah, I started in May, and I started with me writing some of the pieces that I wanted to write, and then I started soliciting, and I was surprised with how well the schedule worked. We had most of it pretty much ready to go at the beginning of September, at the end of August. So we had almost a month left over of time to just kind of read it again. I'm big on making sure there's as few typos as possible. I mean, I really want my brand to be known for like not being annoying, in the sense that you're reading through and you're just irritated by all the typos and spelling mistakes and formatting problems and stuff, that it takes you out of the fun. I want ultimately for the books to feel like Wizards just dropped an extra book on you and surprised you, as close as I can get. I don't have their money. I wish I did, but I want to get as close to that as I can, and just set a really high bar.
You're not too far off the mark.
No. Yeah. I know. I see the Witchlight book as being more for the DM, and your book is really, to me, is for the players, with all the classes and subclasses and new spells and the beautiful artwork.
Yeah, the artwork is amazing in this thing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just so honored and fortunate to get to work with some awesome people. And yeah, I just can't say enough about all the different artists and collaborators. I mean, just the give and take of people working on it. And there was a real passion from everybody involved, because I set up a private Discord server. And what I did is I said, this is an opportunity for you guys to see behind the scenes of making a book. I mean, I've done this professionally outside of the role-playing space. So you can see what I'm doing if you want to see, a sample of something and give me feedback on it, you can. I can't pay for all that, because I'm paying you for your writing and things like that. But if you want to voluntarily just hang out and kind of get some learnings of what I'm up to, I'll share with you how I'm building the book and like decisions I'm making. And I was really impressed with how many of the contributors decided to just hang out and volunteer and just give, a second set of eyes on things. And it was just fun. We had fun. It was like a family. We just grew closer together, and the ideas were really, really fun from the whole crew. So it was awesome.
Where does one find all these contributors and artists?
In this particular case, I advertised on the DM's Guild Discord and the Drive Through RPG Discords initially, and then I expanded it to Twitter. And I'm so glad I did, because there were people that contributed to this book that had never been published before, or had never published in the TTRPG space, and this was their dream, right? And had I just stuck to the traditional locations, like the Discord servers for the publishing sites, I don't know that I would have gotten as many submissions from people that were new to the game, basically. So it was great, because I had people that had done 100 titles, and I had people that had done none, and we all got to work together.
So what other Splinterverse titles can we look for?
As far as ones that are out, I have two other ones that I can recommend. There's another one that's being retooled right now, so I'm not going to recommend that one today. But I've got Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which is focused on lineages, and it has 4 really fun different lineages in it. They're similar to the ones that you've seen in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. And then it's also got optional rules for how to remove a lineage from a person. Maybe, you get a player that's like, I don't want to be this lineage anymore. It shows you how to remove all of the published ones in my book and the official ones. And then there's also rules on how you can string them together to have kind of chained lineages. And what I wanted to do with the lineages in that book was think beyond physical transformations, because most of the lineages, something has come into the character's life, something has changed, whether the Dampier, they've interacted with vampires, or the Hexblood, they've interacted with hags, or Reborn, they've died. So I thought, what else can I do? So I started thinking about objects. And so one of my favorite ones in that book is called the Key Keeper. And it has to do with a character being handed a key that becomes tied to their soul. And if they lose it, they die, and they only have so much time to get the key back to avoid dying.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. There's so much stuff that goes along with it. And then there's another one where you're tied to a book called The Book Bearer. And it involves Mephistopheles and recording things for Mephistopheles and all kinds of fun stuff. There's one related to like a parasite called The Blighted. And then another one where your shadow is not your own anymore. You actually could be like an elf with a minotaur shadow. And it's called The Shadow of Soul. Yeah, I just thought, let me take this concept and really just stretch it and see what we can do. And it was a blast. But the other book that I can recommend right now is called Potions Unlocked, which it's over 100 pages. It's print on demand. It's digital. And the whole concept, it's first in what I envision as a series of unlocked books. And the whole concept behind it is to take something in the game that has become kind of stale, run-of-the-mill, maybe even forgettable, unused, and just blow it up. Make it something that you can't wait to have in your game, something that is edgy, something that is different, fun, just out there. And so it starts with optional rules on how to take the potions beyond just a normal consumable. So they have serving sizes, basically, to where the potions in the book, you can have 3 servings, 4 servings, 6 servings. And each potion described in the book has a serving amount associated with it, so that it's not just drink it and it's gone and you forget about it and everybody has a potion of healing. It's a lot more to that, with a lot of different legendary and very rare. I've got all the different rarities in there. But then beyond that, I thought, okay, what else can I do with potions that hasn't been done? So I came up with ways to craft these particular potions with details on what you would do to craft each one of the potions. Then I wrote origin stories, little short stories for each of the potions, so that if you want to have the character go into a potion shop and have them look at something, and then the shopkeeper's like, well, let me tell you a story about how that one came to be. They can rattle off this whole story from the book. Or if you're a crafty DM, you can take that story and put your characters in it and use it as an adventure and come up with how they create this potion. And they're not all happy ending stories. There's some very different tales in there. Some of them are Grimm's fairy tales and some are light and fun. But what I had fun with those was that they're kind of like a little cinematic universe, in the sense that if you read all the stories for the potions in the book, you'll see some crossovers, whether it's like the name of a town appears in one or a character appears in one. There's a lot of little crossovers, but the art is just stunning. I mean, there's so many potions the bottles are just crazy looking. I want them in real life. I wish I could pay somebody to sculpt all of them because they're really cool. But one of my surprisingly favorite parts of the book was writing about potion-themed locations, because we also have a school where you can learn to make potions, and it's kind of a magic school in the vein of Strixhaven, so you could use it for that. And then there's this potion wagon that travels around, and the driver is on a secret mission, and she has tested potions in the past for that magic school. So she has some special abilities as a result of having tested potions that maybe weren't ready for for use. And but they're vendors as well. So the potion wagon is fully stocked. So if you need a vendor, you've got that. And then there's new plants in there. If you need some plants, we got that. They're all used for ingredients in the potions. It's just a lot of different things that all expand and unlock those potions so that they can go to the next level.
Now, my favorite part, did you touch on miscability?
No, well, kind of. I referred to it.
Okay.
I referred to it, and I did have some sections on like what happens if you mix two potions, not the same as in the DMG, but
right.
But something about wild effects basically that happen. So I won't give it away, but yeah, there's a whole table. There's 50 wild effects in there for if you get up to some strange things with your potions, there'll be consequences.
Well, I only ask because our players will do stupid shit like that.
Well,
so.
I did read a little bit of that the potions book, and it was good. I did peruse through it, and I think I did like the Van Richten's book too.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, there's one item in there called the Rainbow Rack, and it has 5 test tubes on it, and you can literally mix the potions together. And I designed it in a way to where if you wanted to get like a little test tube rack and use food coloring, because I made them the colors of like food coloring, you could actually do it at your table like a prop thing. And based on whether you mix them together or take the different servings, different things happen. So it's a lot of fun.
I actually did something similar to that on one of my tables way back when. Is I got some test tubes in school, made a little rack for them. I had 12 of them across, and I put 12 different liquids in there, from beet juice to pickle juice to watered down honey to all kinds of things, and all it was just colored tubes. And I actually set up a live like alchemist lab. And
that's awesome.
And we basically did a little bit of live action. And I told him, okay, this is, I had books strewn about, I had papers hidden, things like that, all in this one room. And eventually someone wanted, try the potions, and some of them smelled good and some of them didn't. And I had the effects were set aside. So when you say you could actually pull out the test tubes, I've done that. And it's fun.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with Halloween, there's so many things you can do like that. And, just have games where this is an eyeball, but it's really just a cherry tomato, or something. So yeah, it's fun. You can always use the test tubes for Jello shots or something, I guess, but it's I don't know. It was just a fun, different thing to try.
Right. So I understand you're on YouTube. Let's tell our listeners all about that.
So I started that during the pandemic. I was just trying to find something to do, and I was playing a lot of computer games, and so I started recording them. And then the game I was playing, they decided to shut down. So as I alluded to earlier, so I recorded a bunch of those, and I've been releasing them, once a day, just for fans of that game called Hex that has been shut down, and that actually ends October 15th. So by the time this airs, there'll be no more new videos on that. And the focus of my channel has been shifting, and it'll be fully shifted by the time this airs to D&D content, where once a week I go through the new releases from Dungeon Masters Guild and Drive Through RPG for D&D, whether it's OSR, Morkborg, Pathfinder, you name it, it's in their 5th edition. Go through those, just kind of showing everybody what came out that week, just talking about it, trying to promote some creators, give people ideas on how they can use these books, get them interested, and also just as a record of what's come out. Because once your book is off the main page, I mean, if you don't know how to search for it, it's really hard to find it. So I really wanted to be a showcase for that. And then also doing some sort of one-off videos where I focus on individual books, which I've been so busy making my own books, I haven't done as many of those lately as I want to, but I'm getting back to that. I have a backlog of books I'm going to cover, so you'll see more of that, especially once the Hex content dies down here.
So can you give us a peek at some of your future products coming up from the Splinterverse?
Yes, there's actually a ton of them. I wish I could talk about all of them, but the newest one is also a tie-in, and it's called Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets.
Ooh.
And it's meant to tie into the Treasury of Dragons. And once again, we looked at what was not happening in the Wizards book and tried to provide that so that potentially with the 2 books, you could have a complete picture. And so you're going to find subclasses for the classes that don't have them in Fizban's book. They're all draconic themed, dragon related subclasses. We've got 2 backgrounds. One's the dragon hunter, the other one's the dragon tamer. And the dragon tamer is exciting to me because once again, that collective subconscious, it works really well with the ranger subclass that's going to be in the official Fizban's book. And we've got magic items, we've got feats, spells, and a brand new familiar called the Dragonling, which is a lot of fun and has some fun lore to it. So it's really, this time it's all player stuff. It's a smaller book. It's not as big as Fey Wild Companion, but it's fun. I'm excited for you guys to see it.
And we're excited to get our hands on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you want to tease out some of the other stuff, we've got some time, Jimmy. If you want to drop a couple more hints, to keep people interested.
Yeah. So this year was all about me doing books to prove the brand. So I have this kind of 4 pillars to the brand. One is quality. I want always with my books to have a level of quality that is as close to Wizards as I can get, whether it's the syntax, the formatting, the artwork, whatever. I want to be as close to them as I can get. Inclusivity. I want to make sure that the characters in the books, represent the real world in terms of the diversity that's out there, as well as the creators involved. I want everybody to feel like they have an opportunity. And then creativity. I don't want to just do books that are the same as everybody else or that just the same old formula. I want to make sure that there's always innovation in every book that we do, some new mechanic, some new thing, anything. With Fey Wild Companion, doing that new domain was really fun for us because we knew it was new territory. And then there's some other stuff in there that's innovative. The last one is balanced. I want my books to be known for being balanced against Wizards books. Now Wizards has a wide range of balance, right? Some are very powerful, some are underpowered. So within that, we want to be balanced so that when we're looking at stuff, we're comparing it to everything Wizards has published, because we want, again, for this to meld as close as possibly to Wizards stuff so that you feel okay including it in the things that you allow at your table. So that's kind of the basis of my brand. And so this year, 2021, was about establishing that and building all those things. And, people ask me, well, why didn't you just start with Kickstarter? Why are you self-funding this stuff? Why are you doing all this stuff? And I said, because if I was looking at a Kickstarter, I would be like, who is this guy? Why does he think he could do this? And so I wanted this year to be like, let me prove that I can do this so that in 2022, when I do some Kickstarters, hopefully people will believe that I can do it, that I can deliver, and that these 4 pillars that I talked about are going to be present and whatever the concept is. So I'll tell you that I can't get into too many details, but there's something in D&D that has never been covered in terms of lore. In fact, they've tried to ignore it. And one of the ideas will explode that and really give us finally some lore for that area. There's also more unlocked titles coming where we're going to take parts of D&D that have been ignored, left alone, abandoned, and revitalize those. There's just so many concepts that are unreal. And then my biggest thing is the campaign setting that I want to do. And it's something that I just am so excited about. I feel like it's the best idea I've ever had. So that would probably be like the 3rd or 4th thing for 2022 would be to hit my campaign setting. But I'm going to be new to Kickstarter. So I'm going to try to start one of those early next year, see how that goes. If I can do, a couple of those and get out some great books that way, I will. I'll continue to self-fund here and there too, but I want to learn how to do Kickstarter and see how I can do that, because ultimately I can't self-fund forever. I gotta be able to have this fly on its own. But at the same time, I wanted that track record so that you guys would go, wow, okay, I can believe in this and I can actually back it and feel confident. And I can tell you, even with starting in May, it's a challenge to get a big 150-page book done, but we met all our deadlines. We were done early, and we had quality. It wasn't rushed. And so when I do a Kickstarter, it's going to be like that. I'm going to hit my deadlines, probably be early. And I'm not even going to start the Kickstarter campaign until I have some significant chunks done, because I want to deliver on time or early, so that also with Kickstarters, people can believe in me and say, okay, if I back one of his Kickstarters, I'm not going to have to worry.
Well, I'll back it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all on board.
It sounds exciting. And I certainly hope when you do start your Kickstarter that you reach out to us so we could have you on again.
Yeah.
So you could
Oh,
talk
yeah,
that
absolutely.
up, because I'm curious. I'll probably be emailing you regularly. So what's up? And just
No, totally. I want to come back and talk about that. And, I'm going to need all the support I can. This is a hard industry. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of choices you have to make. Do you put in the money, or do you go another route and try to do just, trading with people, or go with stock art, or like, what are your choices going to be? And that's one of the reasons I like doing the weekly video series on YouTube, is I feel like maybe I'm helping people find some of these titles and helping them, get some money in their pockets. Cause it is, you can basically operate in the red if you want. I mean, with this, it's a labor of love for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's obvious when you look at some of the products that are out there where, people treat it almost as if it's their offspring. You can tell that there's a passion for the hobby, which is always nice.
Yeah, every week I'm just, because when I record those videos, I save my reactions until I'm recording, and I'm always just like, whoa, I didn't know this was, somebody made this. This is an awesome idea. And I also find like little things like, oh, your preview isn't working on your title and stuff. So I feel like I'm helping them also maybe see how a customer sees their catalog page. So I feel like it's a good series for the creators as well to kind of get some input.
It is. I have to comment on your pillars. I like that you are putting some focus on the inclusion piece. When I first started gaming, it was Caucasian males, and it was that way for a very long period of time, where it was just like us. It was a monochromatic hobby. And then, of course, if you went out to conventions and the whatnot, there was it became a little more diverse. But it's a more diverse population now in the hobby, which I think is really good. And having the publications reflective of that is important, to keep building that diversity.
It is. I mean, people need to see themselves. You have, unfortunately, children, teenagers that get depressed because they don't see themselves reflected in whatever it is, whether it's television, films, books. It's gotten a lot better, but when I was growing up, there just wasn't a lot of examples for certain types of people, and it's just a bummer, because that's not how life is. Life isn't so homogenous. It doesn't have to be like hitting people over the head with it. I mean, when I was writing those short stories for Potions Unlocked, it's like I go into what I call my heart space when I'm writing, and these characters would just show up, and this character just happened to be disabled, or just happened to be, whatever, from a certain walk of life. And it was cool, because I'm like, yeah, you're all welcome. Come to the party. Let's have an adventure with you, and show people that, not everybody is a certain way. And that's another reason in Fey Wild Companion, I was so excited for us to do the Oath of Beauty for the Paladin, because it nowhere in there does it tell you what beauty is. It talks about ugliness in the sense of like evil and vanquishing evil. And we made the decision to make the art sort of not the traditional beauty, the people that people associate. I think it's a very beautiful figure, but there's people that would say, well, traditional is white. It's this tall, it's that, and it's like, we wanted to say, no, we all can own beauty. And it was a fun one.
And that's Jimmy from the Splinterverse. Interested in getting your hands on the Fey Wild Companion and other great titles from the Splinterverse? How about checking out a new YouTube channel that would fit nicely into your regular rotation? We got you covered. The links are in the description below. We'll see you next time in the dojo.
That's going to conclude this episode. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Please subscribe to the podcast for more great content. If you'd like to hear a particular topic, you can reach us on Facebook at the Dungeon Masters Dojo, or you can drop us an email at thedungeonmastersdojo@gmail.com. Thank you, and have a good day.